Close your eyes for a second. Humor me. Do it. Think of the last piece of music that stopped you cold. Maybe it was in a car, the windows down, the hot summer air blowing past you. Maybe you were randomly up at 3 a.m. and you heard something that shot a bolt of energy through you and stopped you in your tracks for a moment. Maybe it was a song you heard 100 times. And then one night, for no reason, you find yourself bobbing your head to it or tapping your foot like it was brand new. Now ask yourself, where did that come from? Not the notes, not the rhythm, not the words on the page. Where did the thing behind the thing come from? Rick Rubin, who has been in the room when more great music was made than almost any human alive, has a very specific answer to that question. And it's not what you think. He says you didn't make it. You received it. This video is about what that means. Not as a metaphor, not as spiritual fluff, but as a working philosophy that changes how you create, how you listen, and maybe if you sit with it long enough, how you understand what you actually are. Rick Rubin is not a musician. He doesn't play an instrument. He doesn't write songs. He describes himself as a reducer, someone who takes away everything that isn't the thing. He sat in the room while Johnny Cash recorded songs that have made grown men cry. He's watched the Red Hot Chili Peppers find a sound that they thought they'd lost. He's been in the corner, quiet, shoeless, eyes closed, while some of the most important music in the last 40 years came into being. Some of the bands and artists he's produced include Metallica, Slayer, System of a Down, Slipknot, Black Sabbath, Danzig, AC/DC, Aerosmith, ZZ Top, Audioslave, Linkin Park, The Cult, The Black Crowes, Weezer, Tom Petty, The Mars Volta, Kid Rock, The Dixie Chicks, Adele, Lady Gaga, Justin Timberlake, Ed Sheeran, Kesha, The Beastie Boys, Run DMC, LL Cool J, Public Enemy, Kanye West, and so many more. In 2023, he published a book called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. It's a little over 400 pages, no chapters, just 78 meditations on what creativity is and how it works. It's not a how-to guide. It's something far stranger and more useful than that. It's an insight into a world few have known, gained from producing some of the greatest creative works ever made. Here's the central idea. Rubin believes that creativity is not something you manufacture. It's something you receive. The creative work, the song, the painting, the film, the story, already exists. It exists in some form, in some field, in some space that's larger than you. Your job is not to invent it. Your job is to be in the position to receive it, to be open, to be tuned. You're not the source. You are the antenna. Rubin writes, we are a conduit to the universe. Intention is all there is. The work is just a reminder. Think about what that feels like for a second. An antenna doesn't create the signal. It doesn't strain for it. It doesn't perform. It just has to be correctly positioned and free of interference. When it is, the signal comes through clean. When it isn't, all you hear is noise. Most creators treat creativity like a faucet. They think, if I just try hard enough, if I sit at the desk long enough, if I discipline myself enough, the water will flow. That's the wrong model entirely. It's not a faucet. It's more like the weather. You can't force rain, but you can put out a bucket. And here's the thing that changes everything about this metaphor. If you accept it, genuinely accept it, not just intellectually. The pressure drops. The perfectionism softens. The creative block reveals itself for what it is, not a failure of talent, but a problem of signal, interference, noise, things jamming the frequency, which means it can be fixed. Now, this is more than one man's philosophy. Many major ancient cultures have left us records of their creative lives, and they arrived at roughly the same place. The ancient Greeks didn't say, "I wrote this poem." They said the muse spoke through them. The muses were 9 goddesses, and before beginning, a poet would invoke the muse, not as metaphor, as literal practice. They understood themselves as channels, as vessels, not creators. In the Vedic tradition of ancient India, one of the oldest continuous intellectual lineages on earth, the concept of Shabda Brahman describes primordial sound as the vibrational substrate of all creation. Music, poetry, sacred text, these weren't made by humans. They were heard, received from a cosmic field of sound that preceded human existence. The composers of the Vedas called themselves seers, rishis, not makers. Indigenous traditions across the Americas spoke of songs that came to the singer. A Lakota ceremony doesn't begin when the human decides. It begins when the spirit arrives. The singer's job is to be ready to receive the spirit. In the Sufi mystical lineage, the poet Rumi describes himself as a reed flute, hollow, emptied of self, able to carry a sound that came from somewhere else. His most famous opening lines describe pain of separation from the source and the music that comes when the hollow reed is brought back to the reed bed. Across centuries, across continents, across cultures, with no contact with each other, the same idea over and over again. You are not the origin, you are the instrument. Rick Rubin didn't invent this. He remembered it. And then he put it into practice in recording studios across 40 years, watching and hearing it work. So if the signal is real, if creativity is genuinely available, genuinely transmittable, what's the problem? What's blocking it? Rubin calls it interference, and he's specific about where it comes from. You've heard this voice. It sounds like reason. It sounds like discernment. It shows up the moment you sit down and create, and it says, this isn't good enough. This has been done before. Who do you think you are? It feels like it's protecting you. It isn't. It's jamming the signal. The moment you start asking, will this get clicks? Will this sell? Will the algorithm like this? You have introduced a frequency into your creative space that competes with the signal. The work begins bending towards the market, and the market has no idea what the next great thing is. If it did, it would have already made it. The market is a reflection of what was created in the past, not the future. This one is subtle. It comes in before you've even started. The imagined audience in your head. The people you're afraid will roll their eyes. The critics. The colleagues. Even the followers. They're already in the room with you. Already crowding out the signal. External voices, however well-meaning, do not belong in the inner process. Not yet, at least. You imagine the finished album, the finished novel, the finished film, and you hold the seed you have in your hand, up against the imagined masterpiece. The seed will lose every time, and so you don't plant it. Rubin's warning is specific and worth repeating. Do not let external pressures enter your inner process. The interference is not weakness. It's not failure. It is a signal noise in a transmission environment. It can be reduced. It must be reduced because the signal is waiting to be tuned into. How do you clear the signal? How do you reduce the interference? How do you become a better antenna? Rubin gives us 3 core practices. I'm going to describe them in a way you can use today. Take a walk. Not a productivity walk. Not a podcast walk. A walk with no agenda and your senses tuned all the way up. Feel the specific temperature of the air on your forearms. Notice the sound layering. What's closest? What's furthest? Look at a color until it becomes interesting. Smell the rain on concrete. Touch a tree's bark. Some hippie stuff. You're not gathering material. You're not solving a problem. You're doing something far more fundamental. You're practicing being open. You're exercising the muscle that creative work requires. Rubin calls this living in a state of openness to receiving. It sounds passive. It's the hardest active discipline you'll ever practice. A seed is not an idea. An idea has a shape, a direction, an implied finished form. A seed is rawer than that. It's a fragment, an image, a feeling with no name, a color combination you saw on a bus, a melody that appeared while you were washing dishes. The rule: collect without evaluating. Do not ask, is this good? The question is meaningless at this stage. The question you ask is only, did this arrive? If yes, you capture it. In a voice memo, a notebook, a photograph, a sketch. Keep accumulating for weeks, months if necessary. Do not compare seeds. Do not rank them. Do not try to figure out what they'll grow into. A seed doesn't know what it is yet. Neither do you. And that is exactly as it should be. Inside, you have a sensitivity that tells you when something is true. You want to calibrate that. You develop it by surrounding yourself with the best work humans have ever made. Not to imitate it, not to be intimidated by it, but to tune your instrument. Listen to John Coltrane until you can feel the difference between a note that is true and a note that is almost true. Look at Johannes Vermeer until light on fabric becomes something you understand in your chest. Read James Baldwin until you feel the weight that real sentences can carry. Then go make something. You'll find your bar has moved. Here's where we land. You are not the one who makes the work. You're the one who receives it, shapes it, and gives it back. The ancients knew this. The mystics knew this. The poets and musicians who left us with the things that still move us decades or even centuries later, they knew this. Rick Rubin, in studios around the world, has spent 40 years immersed in creativity, watching it bloom in real time. The question is not, am I talented enough? The question is, am I open enough? Because the signal is there. It's always been there. It's been there since before you were born, since before there were humans to receive it, since whatever it is that makes beauty also made the capacity to feel it. Your job, your only job, is to keep the interference low. Stay curious, stay open, Keep your senses awake. Collect seeds without judging them. Step away from the voices that crowd out the signal. And when something comes through, when you feel that quiet, calm, invigorating energy, that ecstatic signal, trust it, follow it. Don't explain it, don't justify it, just go. Because that frequency, that's the one. Before you go, one question. And I want you to sit with it honestly. What does your antenna look like right now? And what's jamming it? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Now, the book, I've put a link to the Creative Act in the description. It's an affiliate link, which means if you pick it up through there, you will support this channel at no extra cost to you. And I want to be direct with you. This is one book that you want to own physically, as a physical object sitting on your desk that you can pick up when you feel the signal is weak. Rubin wrote it to be read this way. A few pages, put it down, let it work. Most people who watch a video like this feel something shift, and then they close the tab, and that feeling fades by morning. The book is the thing you keep. It's the thing you return to. The people who make the work they're capable of, they have something on their shelf that reminds them who they are when the interference gets loud. This is that book. Link is below. If this video landed for you, subscribe. The next one in the series is about inspiration and why waiting for it is quietly destroying your work. I'll see you in the next one.